Welcome back to the shooting channel, and today we're going to talk about how game shooting has changed over the years. And I believe that game shooting has changed, some parts for the good parts, some parts for the bad parts. The one bad thing about it is, with the cost of everything going up, game shooting is now starting to be a rich man's sport in a lot of people's eyes. So we now need to change that back to, rather than going out and shooting these massive bird days, to going out and shooting 50 bird days, 40 bird days, rough shooting, that sort of thing, to try and bring game shooting back as a fun, enjoyable day out. We're not just trying to get the rich, as people call it, into game shooting. We're trying to broaden it to everyone. And game shooting is about, not just about going out, killing every single bird in the sky. You have three different elements of game shooting. You have the beating, you have the picking up, and you have the guns. And okay, the guns pay the bill, but those beaters and those picker-uppers don't do it for the money. They go out and they do it for the day out and to enjoy it. Beaters get paid £25 a day. Picker-uppers get paid probably £40 a day. Picker-uppers generally will do it to take their dog out to pick up that bird. So you need to think of game shooting as the overall thing. And okay, we have got a little bit of a big horizon put over the top of us. Everyone's trying to kick lead out. Again, I'm not going to go into that in this film. So some guns you can shoot still through, it just depends on the choking. And if anyone has got any questions on it, please comment below. I'm going to be honest, over the years, the first guns, it used to be side-by-sides. That was the first gun for game shooting. And a lot of people, they've all moved to the traditional now, over and under. But in this day and age, a lot of people are actually now going back to side-by-sides. Now, English guns, we all know, I've said on this channel, I've got very flat in the comb. This is what you call an AYA. Now, I would say AYAs are probably the best side-by-side on the market if you want to go out and you want to be traditional when you're game shooting. And there's something that you've got to try. They've got hand detachable locks. They look like they're hand engraved. They look like they're an English gun, but they're a nice Spanish side-by-side. And you can pick one of these up for under £2 grand, £1,500 to £2 grand. A traditional game day, you dress up, you get to the shoot about 9 o'clock, 9:30, you have a coffee, you have bacon sandwiches, you meet your fellow guns, you have a nice chit chat in the morning, you have the safety briefing. And the shoot captain or the gamekeeper, depending which way it is, will go through about what you're doing with the day, the safety of the day. He will then draw for pegs. Generally it will be 1 to 8 or 9. Shooting 10 guns is all, I believe, is too much on a game day. 8 or 9 pegs is about perfect. You pick those pegs. So once you've picked those pegs, if I pick peg 7 for the day, I will be on peg 7 throughout the day. I won't necessarily be on peg 7. I will move up. Once I've shot the first drive, I will move up 2. So everyone has a chance of being in the middle of the line. And the middle of the line is generally the hot spot, or where all the birds go over. So once I've shot my first drive, I will then move, if I've got 9 pegs, I will move up 2. And then you will move around on each drive. Generally, you will do 2 or 3 drives. You'll do halfway in the morning, you'll stop for what you call 11s, which is sausage rolls, soup, something like that. And then you'll go and do another couple of drives, and then you'll have lunch. On some shoots, they either have lunch in the middle of the day, or they shoot all the way through and have lunch at the end of the day, and then you'll shoot a couple of drives afterwards. And what you do is you tend to book a day. So if you're going to book a 100 bird day, you don't shoot 100 birds for you. That 100 bird day is split across it's split across the 8 or 9 pegs. So it is not about killing every bird in the sky. It's about having a nice day out and shooting those birds. When you're paying for your day's pheasant shooting, don't think, oh, £500 for a day's pheasant shooting or £800 for a day's pheasant shooting, that's expensive. But you're paying for that day, you're paying for the organisation for the whole year. So generally a shoot, it has a gamekeeper that works the whole year to get your day right for that day. You only see one day. So think to yourself, you're paying that day for the year's work. And that is the end result. So that is why you dress up, you take your gun, you're shooting a nice environment. And just think about it. Do you want to shoot an over and under, or do you want to be traditional? I'm going to be completely honest. An AYA is very traditional to shoot. And the value of these, I believe, will actually, or the value of side-by-sides, I think is actually going to come back into fashion, and the value of it is going to go up. So have a think about, do I want to shoot a side-by-side? Do I want to shoot an over and under? If you're on this channel and you've watched this channel, please comment below. Are you thinking of buying a side-by-side as well as your over and under to be traditional to shoot? What we're going to do now is I'm going to go through, I've got a Browning game gun and I've got an AYA, and I'm just going to shoot each one, and I'm going to explain to you how I shoot each one and how they shoot. So I'm going to start with my side-by-side. The only one thing I would recommend if you're going to buy a side-by-side is get yourself a handguard which goes over here, because if you shoot quite a lot through a side-by-side, the barrels do get warm. So I'm just going to shoot a basic driven pheasant. Pull. 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 So the biggest thing I need to learn about when I'm shooting a side-by-side compared to an over and under is I don't ram my head down. I need to just keep my head slightly off there and just be very much more delicate with it rather than ram that gun into my shoulder. Okay, the recoil is slightly more than on an over and under, but you're not going to put heavy cannon shells through it. 28 grams, 30 gram sixes is absolutely fine for shooting a side-by-side, because you don't want to shoot the thing to absolute death. It's like driving an old classic car. You wouldn't rag the hell out of it when you first get it. You would look after it when you first get it. And when you're shooting, and when you're shooting game shooting, I always think when you're shooting a driven shoot, you should be shooting it there. I don't think there is any space to turn around and shoot over the top of somebody's head. Because bear in mind, you've got the picker-uppers behind you. You've got the beaters in front of you. If you can't shoot in your kill zone, which is there, you shouldn't really be on that peg. You have to think to yourself, that is your safety zone, that is where you shoot it. So one more pair, and then we're just going to go through with the over and under. Pull. So that's a few with the side-by-side. Now we're going to shoot with the over and under. Now, traditionally, Again, you can get single trigger side-by-sides, but most side-by-sides are double trigger and over and unders are single trigger. And that's generally the new, how it's moved on in the future of guns. And that is something I like, actually, just shooting double trigger. It's just a nice thing, I think is a nice thing to shoot. So it's well worth, if you haven't shot one of these, give it a go. Pull. 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 Now, the first thing I think is, obviously the gun is a lot bigger. So it's a lot bigger here. The whole gun feels a lot bigger. Less recoil, a hell of a lot less recoil. This particular one is 28 inch. You don't have to try and fit it to you. It just comes straight there because the stock is bigger. Whereas with the side-by-side, all you've got to do is just move it into your cheek a little bit more. But generally, once you work that out, this is actually, an AUIA is actually cheating a little bit because they're a lot more higher in the comb. They're a bit bigger here, like an over and under, whereas an English gun is a lot more flatter in the comb. So that's generally the first thing that you need to be thinking about. With an over and under, again, you can shoot a little bit more heavier shells, 34 gram 4s, 5s, that sort of thing. Pull. Pull. And again, it's very traditional. It's a bit like going out shooting, going out driving with a modern day car. It's nice, and this is why both of these guns still have a place in modern day shooting. A nice side-by-side and an over and under. Because if you want to have a nice day's game shooting, traditional day's game shooting, you take your side-by-side. If you want to have more of a killing day's game shooting, take your over and under. I actually, now I've got a little bit older, now I actually prefer going out shooting 100 bird day or 50 bird day, because you actually remember some of the shots that you take, and it's more of a nice day out when you remember those birds that you shot, and then you take them home, you eat them, you do them, and it's just a nice way of finishing a day off. Hit that subscribe button, and please, please, please join us as a member. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.